So before we dig into JavaScript, I want to show you something called Bootstrap. Basically, Bootstrap is a CSS and also a JavaScript library that you can use for free in order to boost the layout and the visual appearance of your web pages. So we have learned how to use CSS from scratch by different ways, like this use of external style sheets, inline CSS and internal CSS style sheets. But instead of creating the CSS from scratch by yourself, you can also use external CSS libraries, and actually that is what Bootstrap is. It's an external CSS library that you can use for free. And basically Bootstrap is probably the most used or most popular front-end CSS framework or library that is in use today. So it's free to use, and you can get more information about Bootstrap on their homepage. But we will go through some basic examples. So in order to start using Bootstrap in your HTML web applications, you need to include some libraries. So in the head section of your HTML file, you can include either one or two of those. This one is for the CSS part of the Bootstrap library, and if you also want to include the JavaScript part of this library, you also need to include that one. And typically you also need to include that line of code in your HTML file in order to make sure that Bootstrap works fine on different types of devices, all from computers to small smartphones. So let's see how we can include these libraries in our example that we have already made. So here is our previous example where we was using pure CSS from scratch. So let's just make a copy of that one. I can call it index 2 or something, or I can change the previous one to index 2, and then I can just use that one, this index, and then just open it with Visual Studio Code, and then I just delete all previous styling like this. I also remove that one and this internal styling here like this, and now I save it. And then if you see, now we are back to the basics where we're using pure HTML. And now let's apply Bootstrap and see how this affects the result of our HTML web page. And then start by changing this header one to Bootstrap example or something, so you know that we are using Bootstrap. And then I just go to my PowerPoint, I just copy these here and use them in my head section, which I have here. So I just copy that one in. That's for the CSS, and this is for the JavaScript. Just to be sure, I'm using both of them like this, and this final one to make sure that Bootstrap is working fine on all types of devices. And then I just also put it here on top here or whatever, like this. Now we have included the different Bootstrap libraries. I'm also not using this style sheet anymore, so now we are using this external Bootstrap CSS library. So now I can just refresh here, and then you see the contents is changing. Now it's using the CSS that is defined in the Bootstrap library like this. And also if I compare to the previous example, if I have this index 2 as well, which is the previous example, where I was using, so the previous example I was using just HTML and some CSS that we made from scratch. And then see if I drag here now, You see, it's nothing happens. But if you use Bootstrap, Bootstrap is made to work on all types of devices, from PCs to small phones. So when I resize here now, you see the size of the text is automatically changed according to the size of my screen, like this. So it's the size of the text is it becomes bigger when the screen is bigger, and smaller when the screen becomes smaller. While this previous example, where I'm just using some basic plain CSS, you see it is not changing depending on the size of the screen, like this. While for Bootstrap, you can easily change the screen size, and it should, by using Bootstrap, your web pages should look nice on all types of devices, from large computer screens to small mobile cell phones. And in addition to this basic feature where you can resize your screen size, of course Bootstrap have lots of built-in styling that you can use. If you basically just go to the home page of Bootstrap, which you find here. Here you will find all necessary resources how to use Bootstrap on your web pages. And also I recommend this tutorial, this V3 School tutorial. Here you find resources regarding HTML, CSS, etc. But you also have a Bootstrap tutorial here. And Bootstrap comes in different versions. The newest version is Bootstrap 5. And here you find lots of examples, from how to use colors, how to use images. You can create different buttons. You can create progress bars. You can use or style your HTML page in any type of way using this Bootstrap styling. But let's just show some basic how you can change the font colors, etc. So then typically just here, if I go back to my HTML web page here, let's say here for this, if I go back to my web page, so here we have header 1 here and here and here. So let's assume I want to change the color here for this one. This header 1 here called HTML. Here I can then specify using this class property. So then I can select different built-in classes that is part of Bootstrap. So one of them is this text class, like this, and then you have different options. You have something called let's say text success, like this. If I save it now, I refresh, and then you see this is changed to green. If I use another Bootstrap class here for this section, class and a text class, here I can use let's say danger, like this. Click save, refresh, and then you see this becomes red. So here I'm using the class text danger. Here I'm using the text success, etc. And you have lots of different classes that you can use in combination with Bootstrap. But these are just a very few examples. Also, in addition to using a CSS library like Bootstrap, you may also use a library for including different icons in your web application. There exists many different icon libraries. You have a library called Google Fonts, which is free to use. You find more information about that library here. Also, Bootstrap has a part of Bootstrap. You also have a free to use icon library. You find more information about it here. And also a third popular icon library is Font Awesome, which is free for small project, but for larger project you have to pay a yearly amount of money, but you find more information about it here. I just want to show you the Google Fonts library. So here, as part of this library, you have hundreds, thousands of different icons that you can use for free as part of your web application. It's quite easy to use it, and so basically go to the Google Fonts web page, search for an icon that you want to use, and then here you find examples how you can include the style sheet for using Google Fonts, and examples how to include the different icons in your web application. So here I am on the web page for this Google Fonts icon library. So here you just can search for icons, or just select one of the icons in the list there. So assume you want to use this search icon in your application. The first thing you need to do is to include this style sheet. So then you can just copy the code. And if you go back to our basic example here, then we can basically just include it here in the head section. Just like this. So now basically we have included the Google Font icon library like this, and now assume we want to use, let's say, this icon. Then you find some examples here, inserting the icon. Here you see an example. Then I can just copy that code and put it somewhere here. Let's say I want to use it here. Then I just paste in that code. Click Save, and then I just go to this here and refresh, and then you see we have started to use these icons from the Google Fonts icon library like this. And in the Google Fonts library you find hundreds, thousands different icons that you can use as part of your web pages or your web application.